Welcome to Echoes of Love. Tonight, we're diving into a tale of passion, betrayal, and the thirst for revenge that will leave you questioning everything. But be warned, once you step into this world, there's no turning back. If you're hooked, hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a new story of love and vengeance. And if you have your own, share it in the comments. We might just turn your real-life tale into a video, with your name featured. Let's dive in. The night of the explosion is still carved into my bones. Flames roared around us, glass shattering, Olivia's hysterical sobs mixing with Ethan's curses, Ryan's bloodied face burning in the firelight. I remember the heat, the stench of gasoline, and then nothing, only the weight of betrayal crushing me as death claimed us all. When I opened my eyes again, I was no longer in the inferno. I was back in my bedroom years earlier, just days before my engagement. My chest heaved as I realized the impossible. We had all been reborn, but Olivia moved first. My older sister stormed into our parents' study, tears streaking down her perfect face. "I won't marry Ryan. I want Ethan," she sobbed, collapsing at their feet like a sainted martyr. My stomach twisted, because I already knew what this was. In our last life, Olivia and Ethan had clawed their way into each other's arms at any cost. They had betrayed their fiancé Ryan and me, destroyed to families, and dragged us all into hell. This time, she wasn't waiting. She wanted Ethan right away. Father's hand slammed the desk. "Enough. Invitations have already gone out. The entire city knows you're marrying Ryan." Mother tried to coax her, warning she'd suffer if she tied herself to penniless Ethan. But Olivia's stubborn cries filled the room. And then Ethan himself appeared, his tone cutting like a knife. "Ryan's company will collapse. I know it. He'll be investigated and liquidated." The room went silent. My blood froze. Only someone who had lived through it would know that. Ethan had been reborn too. I said nothing. Let Olivia scream and beg. Let my parents rage and scold. Inside, I knew the truth. The four of us had died together. The four of us had returned together. And Olivia, pampered and selfish as always, thought she could rewrite fate with crocodile tears. That night, Mother barged into my room and hurled a Hermes bag at my feet. Her glare was sharp enough to cut. "Susan, if this is your scheme to steal your sister's marriage again, I'll never forgive you." My heart ached, but I forced my voice steady. "Mother, this isn't me. Olivia has always been the one scheming. You just never saw it," she sneered, accusing me of jealousy, as always. In her eyes, I had been the mistake from birth, the daughter who nearly killed her in childbirth, the unwanted second girl when she prayed for a son. Olivia was her pride, her perfect jewel. I was her shadow, blamed for everything. I'd stopped trying to win her love years ago. But Olivia's tantrum had consequences. The alliance with Ryan's family was too valuable to abandon. My parents would never agree to the swap, no matter how she wept. Which gave me an idea. If Olivia and Ethan wanted to fall into each other's arms so badly, I would hand them the opportunity, and then I would watch them burn with it. The next day, I sent my assistant Maya to lure Ethan to me under the pretense of discussing a project. I pretended to ask his advice, feigning ignorance, while secretly leaking word of his visit to Olivia. Then I slipped away to the shadows and waited. Right on cue, Olivia came rushing in. "Ethan," she gasped, throwing herself into his arms. His expression softened instantly, his arrogance melting into longing. They clung together as if they had suffered centuries apart, whispering confessions. And then they said it out loud: they had both been reborn. "Next week, I'm supposed to be engaged to Ryan," Olivia cried. "What should I do?" Ethan's voice hardened. "There's only one way. Create a scandal so big they can't ignore it." My lips curled. Predictable. Their plan was laughably simple. At the upcoming charity gala, Olivia would stage a fall, Ethan would swoop in as her savior, and the cameras would capture their true love. The families would be forced to switch the engagements. I nearly laughed aloud. Ethan thought he was clever, but I knew the truth. Without me fixing his code, managing his investors, and shielding him from his own arrogance, his company would have collapsed before it began. And Olivia, blind with vanity, had once nearly sold Ryan's entire empire out from under him. They deserved each other. The night of the gala arrived. The hall glittered with chandeliers, packed with nobles and reporters. I walked beside Ethan, my arm lightly looped through his. He barely looked at me, distracted, waiting for Olivia's cue. I smiled sweetly and said nothing. Then it happened. Olivia let out a cry and pitched forward, her jeweled ankle twisting as she tumbled toward Ethan. He instantly let go of me and lunged for her, but fate is cruel. A swarm of wealthy heirs rushed in too, all eager to be the hero. Ethan was shoved aside, his moment stolen, and panic flickered across his face. I almost laughed, but then Ryan appeared. His presence alone silenced the chaos. With one calm gesture, the heirs froze, and Olivia's trembling figure was shielded. For one heartbeat, I thought he had saved her out of love. But when Ethan found an opening and rushed forward, sweeping Olivia into his arms in a dramatic embrace, Ryan only adjusted his glasses and sighed. And then he looked directly at me. His gaze lingered, sharp, assessing. My chest tightened. Later, when Olivia and Ethan pleaded for the families to let them be together, Ryan did something none of us expected. "Fine," he said coolly. "Ethan, you marry Olivia. I'll marry Susan." The room gasped. My knees nearly buckled. I wanted to scream that I didn't want him, that he was my sister's fiancé. But when his eyes met mine, I froze. Because in that instant, I knew Ryan had been reborn too. Ryan's words struck like thunder. "I'll marry Susan." The room buzzed in shock, but his calm gaze never wavered from mine. Olivia's lips parted, stunned, before twisting into a triumphant smile. "Yes, that's wonderful," she cried. "Ethan, ever the coward," echoed her delight. My nails dug into my palms. Wonderful? To them, I was nothing but collateral and afterthought they could toss aside to legitimize their love. My mother's glare burned into me. "Shameless girl, was this your plan all along?" She spat, as if I had orchestrated everything. For once, I wanted to scream. It was Olivia who schemed, Ethan who betrayed. Why am I always the villain in your eyes? But before I could speak, Ryan's voice cut through again, cool and steady. "Enough. I'll take responsibility for Susan. She will be my wife." His tone left no room for argument. My parents exchanged frantic looks, and for the first time in my life, my father's disappointment shifted toward Olivia instead of me. The switch was set. Olivia and Ethan would marry in haste, the Sue family's reputation salvaged by trading me into Ryan's powerful alliance. On the surface, it seemed like a victory for her she had Ethan. But deep down, I saw it clearly. Ryan wasn't rescuing her. He was abandoning her. The engagement banquet arrived quickly. Olivia, radiant in her gown, looked ready to float into heaven. But whispers ran through the crowd that Ethan's decorations were shabby, his gifts paltry. I smiled inwardly. Olivia had always demanded the best. Soon, she would choke on the reality of what she had chosen. Meanwhile, Ryan appeared before me in a flawless white suit. His arm was steady as he escorted me to the stage, his presence commanding the respect of the entire hall. "Susan," he murmured, low enough that only I could hear, "you look beautiful." Heat flooded my face. My lips stumbled over the wrong word, brother-in-law. His eyes flashed, then softened into a smile that twisted my chest. "Not anymore. Try again." My cheeks burned as I whispered, "Husband." That night, in the privacy of our chamber, I dared to ask him the question clawing at my chest. "You've been reborn too, haven't you?" He didn't flinch. "Yes, and so have you." The air thickened. I trembled. "Then why marry me? Why not Olivia?" A sharp sneer curled his lips, unlike the refined man I thought I knew. "Marry her? That selfish, short-sighted woman who stabbed me in the back and nearly destroyed my company. Never again." His voice was a low growl. "Let her rot with Ethan. That's what they wanted, isn't it? This time, I'll watch them ruin each other." A chill ran down my spine. His hatred burned like ice, but beneath it, I saw something else when his gaze lingered on me, something almost tender. "When the world turned against me in the last life, you were the only one who passed me information." Quietly, without asking for anything in return, his hand tilted my chin up. "I've never forgotten. That's why I chose you." My throat closed. I had thought I was invisible. I had thought no one saw me, but he had. From then on, we worked side by side, our secrets binding us tighter than vows. While Olivia flaunted herself, demanding Ethan prove his worth, Ryan and I quietly strategized. I told him about my mother stealing my trust fund, transferring it to Olivia. His eyes darkened with fury. "So that's the truth." He immediately ordered an audit. Days later, in front of our extended family, Ryan revealed everything. The truth hit like a hammer. The assets Olivia flaunted as her own gifts were exposed as mine. Father humiliated, slapped her across the face. Mother tried to shield her but was dragged down too. For the first time in my life, I wasn't the one on my knees. I was the one standing tall while they collapsed in disgrace. When Ryan pulled me away, his voice was steady, but his grip on my hand was fierce. "Susan, from now on, no one touches what's yours." It was the first time I felt truly protected. The warmth spread through my chest, fragile and terrifying all at once. But Olivia wouldn't stop. At the tech summit, she clung to my arm, pretending sisterly affection, while Mother demanded I use my new position to introduce her to investors. I let them smile for the cameras. And then, with a sweet voice, I told the crowd, "This is my sister, the one who once stole my dowry." The reporters went wild, flashes exploding like gunfire. Olivia's face crumpled, her mask shattering in front of the entire city. That night, she cornered me, her eyes blazing with hatred. "Just wait, Susan. Ethan will win the national AI project. He'll rise to the top, and when Ryan is dragged into investigation and bankruptcy, you'll beg for death." Her words chilled me because I knew she believed them. Ethan, arrogant as ever, thought his memories of the project's evaluation standards guaranteed his victory. But this time, Ryan wasn't the man who would blindly stumble into ruin. When I told him what Olivia had threatened, his lips curved in a cold smile. "Perfect. The panel is being reshuffled. Without his old blueprint, Ethan will face the storm barehanded." And so, the trap was set. Ethan believed he was destined to win. Olivia fueled his arrogance with her endless nagging, demanding he restore her honor. But I knew better. Without me patching his weaknesses, Ethan was a drowning man thrashing in the tide. And for the first time, I didn't pity him. I waited for the tide to pull him under. Ethan's downfall didn't come all at once. It unraveled piece by piece, like a thread pulled from a suit until the entire fabric collapsed. He buried himself in preparation for the AI project, pacing like a man possessed. Olivia hovered behind him, shrill and demanding. "You have to win. You promised me I'd be the chairwoman's wife." She cried night after night. Ethan's temper cracked. "All you do is scream. Why can't you help me the way Susan used to?" The name slipped out before he realized. Olivia's face twisted in fury. Their fight shattered glass, tore through walls, but nothing could mend the truth. Even when he had her, Ethan's mind was haunted by me. The day of the bidding arrived. He strutted into the conference room, confidence radiating until he saw the new panel. Strangers, not the faces he remembered. The criteria rewritten. He stumbled through his presentation, sweating, his words faltering. By the time he finished, his arrogance had crumbled into panic. Hours later, the results appeared on the big screen. First place, Shanking Group. Second, Titan Tech. Third, Storm Intelligence. Ethan's company wasn't even on the list. Olivia's scream echoed through the hall. "No, that's impossible. You were supposed to win." Reporters swiveled toward her, cameras flashing. Ethan covered his face, terrified of being recognized. Olivia clawed at him, her nails digging into his skin, shrieking that he had ruined her life. The fairy tale she imagined was gone. All that remained was humiliation. At home, their marriage collapsed in blood. Olivia hurled a crystal ornament at him, shrieking that she should have married Ryan, that Ethan was nothing but trash. Something in him snapped. The fruit knife glinted, and then silence. Olivia crumpled to the floor, her own blood pooling around her. The city erupted in shock. Ethan, the so-called rising star, had murdered the Sue family's jewel. Their mother fainted when she heard. Their father lost control of the company, its stock price plummeting, vultures circling. Their perfect family shattered, exposed for what it had always been, rotten. And me, for once, I didn't flinch. I had been blamed for every disgrace since birth. This time, it wasn't mine to carry. Ryan stood beside me, steady as a mountain, as the scandal devoured them. At the police station, Olivia's assistant testified to everything: the stage fall, the schemes, the betrayals. The truth spread like wildfire. Ethan was sentenced to life in prison. The Sue family became the city's laughingstock. My mother committed to a psychiatric ward. My father, sick and powerless, left clinging to an illegitimate son who would never save him. And me, I rose. Ryan's company thrived, steady under his leadership, sharper with my strategies. He shielded me in public, cherished me in private, and when people tried to impose rules on me as the lesser Sue daughter, he silenced them with a single glance. The contrast to Ethan was so stark it sometimes made me ache. Marry the wrong man, and you drown alone. Marry the right one, and he holds the storm at bay. 3 years passed. Ethan wrote me from prison. Only now do I realize how blind I was. Olivia was poison. You were the one I should have chosen. If time could start again, I'd love you forever. Ryan tore the letter into shreds, feeding it to the shredder. He's dreaming, he muttered, pulling me into his arms. Even if time turned back, you would still be mine. And he proved it every day. When he planted a plum tree in our courtyard, his hands rough with soil, I nearly wept. Ethan had once stared at a tree like that, haunted, realizing too late what he'd lost. But Ryan planted one for me not out of regret, but devotion. One evening, after a long meeting, I handed Ryan a signed contract, worth millions. This is for you, I whispered. He blinked in surprise. For me? His eyes softened, and I felt my cheeks flush. Thank you, husband. His smile lit the room. Good girl. Sometimes the past still haunted us. Sometimes Olivia's threats echoed in my ears, or Ethan's bitter eyes lingered in memory. But then Ryan would touch my hand, anchoring me. Susan, he'd murmur, why waste our time on ghosts? We've been given another chance. Let's live. And we did. The Sue family crumbled, piece by piece, until they were nothing but whispers at society banquets. People pitied them, mocked them, forgot them. My mother lived out her days in the shadows of the hospital. My father died bitter, his company torn apart. Olivia's name was remembered only as a cautionary tale. Ethan aged behind bars, his arrogance ground down to dust. And me, the forgotten daughter, the cursed child, the invisible shadow. I became the wife of the man everyone envied, the woman no one dared look down on, the one who had clawed her way out of fire and betrayal into the light. The last time I stood by the plum tree, Ryan's arms wrapped around me, I realized the truth. I hadn't just been reborn into a second chance at life. I had been reborn into love, respect, and freedom, the things I had been denied since the day I was born. Ryan kissed the crown of my head, his voice low and certain. This time, we'll be happy forever. And for the first time into lifetimes, I believed it.